Hello, everyone, and welcome to our Travel Tuesday discussion. Here with me, Robert, your favorite travel advisor. Today, we're actually going to be discussing all inclusive resorts, and I'm really excited about all inclusive resorts. If you've never had the experience of going to an all inclusive resort, I would highly encourage you, do not mark that off your list. The best way to describe an all inclusive resort, I think, is going to be to really compare it to a cruise. It is just like it sounds, all inclusive, which means from the moment you get there till the moment you leave, everything is included. But let me put this out there that is true, but it also isn't true. Not all resorts are built the same, and not all inclusives are alike. So just because it says all inclusive, you might be going to a location that maybe there's an upcharge for that really expensive bottle of champagne, or maybe there's an upcharge for, lobster tails or things like that. So you definitely want to check these things out, which kind of brings me, excuse me, I'm looking away here. I've got some notes written off to the side here, so I'll make sure I touch everything. So I've just got some tips really for all inclusives. And I would say first is going to be do your research. And by do your research, that means, yeah, you can go and do it yourself, but why not use a travel advisor? That's what we're here for. We're talking to these resorts day in and day out, usually. We have a lot of knowledge and a lot of resources. So just make sure if there's a location that you want to go to. You've heard about, hey, a sandals resort, or you've heard about an all-inclusive down in Puerto Rico, or sorry, not Puerto Rico, but down in Mexico that you want to go to, and you know the name of it. Just give your travel advisor a call and say, listen, I was looking at this and I want to know more about it. We're wanting to go there. What I will tell you about all-inclusives, though, is all-inclusives are not located in the United States, and they're not located in Europe. They're mainly located in the Caribbean, in Mexico, some going down into Central America and things like that. And the reason is it's a money game, really, when it boils down to it. It is a lot more cost effective to have these all inclusive resorts where labor is cheaper. It's cheaper to build it there, taxes are cheaper there, and it's cheaper to keep people on staff because all inclusives have staff 24 hours a day, round the clock. There's concierges all the time. There's butlers for your higher end rooms at all inclusives. So if Oh, excuse me so much. So if you're looking for an all-inclusive and you're like, hey, I want to go to California to an all-inclusive, they're not going to be there. All right. They are limited to these places where it doesn't cost as much to operate them. Okay. But they are out there. There are tons of them. And no matter what you're looking for in an all-inclusive, there's going to be one for you. If you're looking for that wedding, listen, girl, I know you want to take that wedding. You want to have that beach wedding right there. Don't do it in August. August is not the time to do it in the Caribbean. It is really hot. Your guests are going to be miserable. But there are all-inclusives, for weddings, and there's inside venues and things like that. There's a great incentive. I know that one of our partners, Sandals, is running, and you can speak with your travel advisor about that. But if you're looking for a wedding, Sandals might be willing to pitch in a venue for a wedding and things like that, depending on your stay and stuff like that. I know I was watching a webinar on it the other day, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that. That's actually really good, to let clients know, especially who are looking for a honeymoon or a wedding like that. And then there are... when it comes to all-inclusives, I like to put them in three categories, right? So category one is just your all-inclusive for everybody. Your families can go with kids, whatever. And then you've got your adults only all-inclusives, okay? And those adults only, it is like it sounds, adults only. So 18 or 21 and up, depending on what they classify an adult to be. And those you are going to have a mixture of, couples, and you're going to have maybe their friends, or, maybe the fraternity brothers all decide to get together and they want to go to an all-inclusive for the week or something and party it up in the Caribbean. And then you've got your couples all-inclusives, okay? The couples all-inclusives, I would say, if you were looking for that, you don't want to be around a bunch of rowdy people, parties all hours of the night. You want that more laid back, maybe romantic atmosphere. I think the couples all-inclusive is the way to go. You're going to have probably a little better spa packages available to you and things like that. Maybe a little more intimate rooms along with cabanas and things like that to kind of just spark that romance there. So those are the three classes that I personally, that's how I classify all-inclusives. But, a lot of them are on big pieces of property. So even if you are at one that has families and you're like, hey, I don't really want to be around kids, but I don't want to go to a couples resort either. You can go to an all inclusive that is for families, and there's usually like adult only areas or an adult only section of the beach or something, so you can get away. And most kids are usually over at the water parks or wherever the free ice cream is at, and that's where they're hanging out all day. So it's definitely not something to write off, but like I said, I would encourage you, if you've never experienced an all inclusive, don't write it off your list. Definitely go to one. Next is going to be plan ahead. And really, when it comes to planning, it's just like with any trip. You need to plan. All right. More so with all inclusives, to know like, hey, what is included in this all inclusive, and what are the itineraries for the day. Most all inclusives have a laid out schedule, like most resorts do. On Mondays we're doing this, Tuesdays is karaoke night, Wednesdays it's whatever. So you want to know that ahead of time, so that way you can kind of plan your trip. What's it going to be like? Am I showing up on maybe for a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and the festivity I really want is like a Tuesday, Wednesday festivity. So maybe we need to adjust your schedule so that way you can partake in that event. But plan ahead. You want to have all that in place, and also know what you're going to be doing. When it comes to planning ahead, are you going to need to do some work? Are you going to need to be in touch with some people maybe while you're on this trip? If so, make sure you're packing everything you need. Are you going to need to take your computer with you? Are you going to need to take maybe that extra iPhone cord? Medications. Are you going to need? Is there a possibility you might run out of medications? I would encourage you, because I know this from personal experience, because it happened to us 2 trips ago. When you are traveling, if you're like, hey, when I get a headache, the only thing that'll take my headache away is an 800 milligram ibuprofen. Make sure you've got 800 milligram ibuprofen with you. If it's Excedrin or whatever it is, make sure that item that it might not happen all the time, but when you do need that one item, make sure you have it, because if you need to purchase it at these resorts, one, if they do have it, you're going to be paying a premium, but two, you might not be able to get that item. They might not have it available to you. So you definitely, you want to have these things. I needed an Excedrin. I was like, my head was killing me, and I was like, I don't know what to do. I had to hunt, and we were in Colorado, of all places. I had to hunt into like 4 or 5 stores to find Excedrin to get rid of a headache, and it was not a good day. So we came home, and immediately after that, like, we made a little thing and put Excedrin, Tylenol, ibuprofen, all those things you need. So you definitely want to make sure you have those things with you when you're traveling, whether that be to an all-inclusive, whether that be anywhere. You want to make sure you have these things, because you don't want to have to buy, maybe the only bottle of Tylenol you can find is 1,000-count bottle of Tylenol. You're like, I just needed 2. But now you had to buy this whole bottle, and now you got to lug it around with you, bring it home. Let's see, I've got ask questions about reservations and no reservations. This, I would say, is a big one, and it doesn't just partake to all-inclusives, but it does kind of go across the board when you're traveling, is know kind of what the reservations are. And that's where your travel advisor can come into play. We will make calls to these resorts. We'll check out these restaurants for you that are on property and things like that, so that way am I going to be able to get into that steakhouse for dinner? Pre-COVID, a lot of the all-inclusives, you didn't require many reservations for the restaurants, which are all included in your stay. But now post-COVID, with limited capacity still in a lot of places in the Caribbean, there may be a possibility that you're going to have a reservation. So let us pick up that heavy lifting for you. Let us take care of that for you. We will send you the list of the restaurants. You can say, hey, I want to eat at the steakhouse on Tuesday, and I want to eat at the high-end seafood restaurant on Wednesday, and I want to do this on Thursday. Let us go ahead and make those arrangements for you ahead of time, so that way you have your reservation. You can always cancel a reservation, but sometimes it's a lot harder to get that reservation if you get down there and you decide, man, I really want to eat at this place. I don't like sushi, but they have other stuff than sushi on the menu, and I really want to eat there, and now we can't get you in because they're booked up. So I personally like to tell our clients that book it ahead of time. We can always cancel it, all right? There's usually no charge for canceling at all-inclusives. Now, if you're at some resorts or things like that, there might be a charge if you cancel within so many hours of the actual reservation. But we'll look into that for you, and that's what we're here for, to do that lifting and that research for you. The next is to really know what is included in your stay, because like I said, not all resorts are the same. Not all resorts include everything. A lot of resorts, when you get to it, there's basic things that are included all inclusive. That's usually going to be your food, your alcohol, and when it comes to like your activities at the resorts, things like that are usually always included. Some things that might not be is there might be an upcharge for maybe a premium liquor or a specialty spirit, one that isn't well. Now, depending on your resort you go to, some resorts do include all of the high-end liquors. Other resorts do not. They say, hey, our well liquors are all included with your stay, but if you want that, I want that Tito's vodka, you might be paying a premium for that. And you want to know these things ahead of time because you don't want to show up at the resort thinking, hey, I paid all this money to go to this all-inclusive, and now I'm having to not be nickel and dime, but I'm having to pay for these premiums that I wanted, and now you're stuck with a bill. So you paid your bill to go, and now you're stuck with a bill on the back end. And we don't want that for our clients. We don't. I don't think any travel advisor wants that for their clients. We want you to go have a peaceful experience and things like that. I will tell you this though, you want to take singles with you. There are some all-inclusives out there where tipping is not allowed, but there are other all-inclusives where you do need to tip. Okay. And when it comes to that, I would say take, I'm not going to tell you what dollar amount to take, but you know the type of lifestyle you lead. You know how many times you go to the bar in a day or how many times you go to a restaurant and things like that. If you want service, you're going to need to tip for the service. And the better the tip, the better the service is how I like to look at it. If I'm going to kick somebody a quarter every time they bring me a drink, they're probably not going to be bringing me a drink like on top of it. If I'm giving you $1 every drink, you're probably going to make sure that, hey, if he's giving me $1 every drink, he's going through a drink every 30 minutes. That's a pretty good chunk of change at the end of the day for them. If hey, I'm giving them $1 for every single time, they're going to make sure my drink is always full. It's right there. They're bringing me a fresh one. They see me running out, I'm going to get another one. Because, hey, he's going to give me $1. So you want to make sure you do have cash available. And your travel advisor can let you know if the resort you were going to is a no tipping resort. There are some out there that you do not tip. One of them, I won't give you the name brand of it because we're not particular to any one brand or the other. I do know it is no tipping unless you were going to the spa or if you have a room with a butler. Those are the only two people on their property allowed to tip. Anyone else who you try to give a tip to, they can actually be terminated for accepting that tip from you. So they're very strict on that. But that is something, like I said, your travel advisor, they know these things. Speak with them. Let your travel advisor inform you of all this so that way you have the best vacation possible. Because the last thing you want to do is you really get down there and you thought no tipping was allowed and this guy's like standing around waiting now for you to give him a tip. And you're like, I didn't know I was supposed to tip you. Now you're trying to maybe find an ATM, things like that. And you don't want to be putting that. So definitely keep that in mind because sometimes tipping is not included. Okay. Next is going to be, this is my favorite, and we actually bought special cups exactly to do this. But take that tumbler with you. Take that insulated Yeti or whatever it is, your favorite cup. Take it with you. You're going to find out two things. One, you're not going to be going to the bar as often. All right, you're not going to be getting up, walking back to the bar constantly because, hey, those cups usually like 32 ounces. They're gonna fill it up. You're gonna go to these all-inclusive resorts and you'll be like, hey, fill this up. You can actually hand your tumbler or Yeti to the bartender and they will fill up the tumbler or Yeti for you. You're not having to get these little 8-ounce cups and dump them in there. Secondly is your drinks are gonna stay cold longer. You're probably going to a location or a destination where the temperature is a lot greater than where you are right now. Now, I know for us here in Central Florida, which is where I'm actually located right here in Orlando, it is 95 degrees outside today, and humidity is like 1,000%. Maybe I go down to Trinidad and Tobago, where the temperature is like a great 80 degrees all the time with an ocean breeze. It is actually cooler down there. Last time we were in Trinidad, I was speaking to our friend down there. I was like, this is amazing. You are literally on the equator down here, and it is cooler here than it is at my house right now. But back to, I'm getting off topic. Back to what I was talking about. Take that cup with you. I personally, especially in the world we're living in now, you never know if the glass you're getting has been cleaned to the standard that you want it to be cleaned at. You know that your cup, which is yours, you washed it, it's ready to go. You know where that cup's been. You know whose mouth has been on that cup. So just throwing it out there. We personally do it. I love it. I wouldn't change it. I always throw my tumblers in our suitcases with us when we're traveling. Half the time I usually have it in my carry-on because I fill it up with water before we get on the airplane type of thing. Next one I had was bring your medicine with you. We kind of talked about that. I would say medications outside of like your Tylenol. your prescription medications. I know a lot of people don't leave home without them, but maybe you've never been on prescriptions before, and all of a sudden you're on a prescription, and or you've been given a limited prescription. Make sure you take it with you. It's going to be a lot harder for you to get that or get the equivalent of that away from your home, or away from the U.S., which is primarily, I know we have clients all over the world. I'm mainly talking to our customers here in the U.S. right now, because I don't know the laws and all of how the rest of that works. I can speak to what I know, which is right here. So it's going to be a lot harder to get those prescriptions, especially if you have to have them overnighted or something to you, to a Caribbean location. You could end up maybe going to a doctor down there and getting the equivalent, but I would still rather have my own. Next is, this is a big one, especially for these all-inclusives that really fill up. It's I like to call it claim your spot. All right. Maybe you've toured the resort the first day. You've walked around and you're like, that'd be a great spot right there under that palm tree overlooking this cove. And that's where I want to be at on the beach tomorrow. So you wake up, you sleep in the next day, you kind of wake up late, you go, you have your nice little brunch, and then you decide about 11 o'clock, head out to the beach. That spot's probably going to be gone. Especially if you were eyeballing, you weren't the only one eyeballing. If it looked like a really good spot, somebody's probably already taken it. Or maybe there's that spot by the pool. You're like, I would love those chairs right over there. The early morning sun hits it just right. I can get my tan and everything. Wake up, go get these spots early because you don't want them to be gone. It's like going to a concert, right? You're going to a concert, it's at the field, you're like, I want my best spot, but you showed up late and now that spot's gone. So you want to claim these spots early. What I personally like to do when we go to all-inclusives is I like to wake up in the morning. We don't wake up too early, but we usually have a light breakfast. And then I go out and I claim my spot on the beach. I'm like, this is where we're going to be, and we'll be here till noon. And we're there. When we get the rest of our stuff, we'll bring it out later. But I go ahead and I get that spot, kind of marking my territory of where I know I want to be. Because, like I said, if you were looking at that spot, there's a chance others were looking at that spot too. You don't want to miss out on it, especially if it's somewhere that's limited. Maybe the location you're looking at, there aren't that many chairs there. There are some resorts, they have a certain style of chair or umbrella feature, and you're like, hey, I want that. You want to get to it early because if you wait, you might not be able to get one. You'd be standing around waiting for one. Okay. Next is going to be your valuables. When I personally travel, I leave all valuables at home. I do not bring things that are worth a lot of money, like high-end watches, jewelry, things that I'm worried about damaging. Sunglasses, for instance. I have an amazing pair of sunglasses. I love to wear them. They're polarized. They're all fancy stuff. But when we travel, I do not bring those. The reason is I don't want them, one, damaged, lost, or stolen. I don't want to take my watch that my nice watch I wear out. I'm like, hey, this is for like when we go to nice dinners and stuff and wear it out. All of a sudden, I mess it up. I scratch it, or God forbid, I take it off to go swimming and leave it sitting somewhere. Now I forgot where it was. So valuables, if you don't need them with you, leave them at home. If anybody's in Venezuela right now, I guarantee you I've got a pair of sunglasses that have washed up on the beach down there. We were in Trinidad and Tobago. I had a nice pair of sunglasses. I was swimming in the water. A wave hit me. It was save the GoPro or save the sunglasses, and I chose the GoPro. Sunglasses, gone. So I'm sure somebody in Venezuela got a nice pair of sunglasses because that's probably where they washed up. All right, so leave those things at home if you don't really need them. But go buy the El Cheapos and take those with you. It reminds me of a little Jeff Foxworthy when he do his stand-up. He was talking about sunglasses. He said, you can be on a cruise ship. Two of you right there. One guy's got expensive sunglasses. The other guy's got a pair of cheapos. And all of a sudden, the wind blows and both your sunglasses fall off. A scuba diver will come back to the service and be like, I found some cheapos. The expensive ones, they're gone. You'll never see them again. So you don't want to take those with you. It's not worth it, I promise. And then the last, and this is most important, kind of no matter where you go, is you want to mind your belongings, all right? Just keep an eye on your stuff when you're traveling. So if you're going to the beach, you've got your stuff in the lounge chair, and you're like, I'm going to leave it right here. I'm going to go out, I'm going to swim in the water, or maybe we're going to take a walk down the beach. You come back. Not that it was stolen, but maybe somebody picked it up by accident. If you come back to a location and your stuff isn't there and there was an attendant on the beach, first, go ask the attendant. they might have seen your stuff sitting there for a while and moved it for safekeeping and maybe put it back up by maybe a lifeguard or taking it up to the concierge desk or something. So don't just assume, hey, my stuff is gone, somebody stole it. Check with the attendants first. It could have just been relocated for safety and things like that. But if you're in a location you're not familiar with, maybe you've walked down the beach with your stuff and you found a place maybe off the resort property and you put your stuff down, just keep an eye on it. You want to know where your stuff is at. Mind your belongings. Don't just leave your stuff sitting around, because if it goes missing, you have nobody to blame but yourself. So that's kind of all I had for today, really. Just, I don't want this to go too long, but I did definitely, like I said, want to touch on these all-inclusive resorts. They are great. When it comes down to it, they can be expensive, but you have to look at the value, not the price. All right. So when it comes to the value of this vacation, what is it valued at? Because I know if I'm going somewhere, I'm like, hey, I got the cheapest hotel. That's fine. I got the cheapest hotel, but maybe now I've got to rent a car. I had to pay for a plane to get there. I'm going to have to, all my meals are on me. There's no continental breakfast. So I've now got to pay for all my meals. And I like to eat. So my meals are not cheap. Anybody who's gone out to sushi with me knows if I don't at least have 3 sushi rolls in front of me, we ain't having a good night. So you have to look at things like that when you look at value versus price. Okay, you can go with the cheapest, and if you go with the cheapest, all I can tell you is you're probably going to get what you paid for. So if you're going with an all-inclusive, maybe it's a little more money, but what's the value of that? Hey, I know I'm getting premium liquors are included. I know I'm getting premium meals at Michelin star restaurants. That's included. Some of them, your plane flight is even included in that price. So you want to know these things, especially before you go. And always, always, always do your research, whether that be using us as, not us, but anyone as a travel advisor, or if you're just Googling. You want to know before you go. And as always, I like to end it with, go and see the world before you have to leave the world. All right, guys, have a great day.